We had an idyllic life. My parents were both well off. My father worked for the largest insurance company, which was called OMA, and my mother worked for the Department of Interior. And actually, her job at the Ministry of Interior saved us. We were on the list of the first deportation of 1941, of June 14, 1941. Somebody tipped my mother off at her workplace that such an action was going to take place. And we left our Kadriorg apartment. We all scattered. And so my parents slept in the apartments of neighbors and people who were on vacation. So they never slept in the same place 2 nights in a row. And then we were sent off to my uncle's farm, who had been drafted into the Soviet army, so that this was kind of a safe place. Nobody would come there because they knew that the owner of the farm was gone. And so we spent, along with my cousins, and there were 6 little girls, all about the same age. My mother still had to show up at work and pretend as if nothing happened. But 3 times they came looking for us in Kadriorg. But because of that, we did have the fear that if the Soviets come back again, that we would be among the first to be deported, because we just escaped. And all around us, people were gone. And so when we left our farm in 1944, right as the Soviets were moving in on us, we left on my mother's birthday, which is 16th of August, and a week later there were already big battles around that whole area. And so, and we left everything, you know, opened the gates and let the cows out into the fields, let the horses loose, and put enough milk out for the dogs and cats, and just left. The journey took us through many, many difficulties to Saaremaa, and we boarded a ship, one of the last to leave the Roomassaare. We went to East Germany, to a small town called Hagenhof. And then from Hagenhof to Boitzenburg, where my father found a job. Now, my mother became ill with tuberculosis during that particular time. And so we could not escape when the area was given over to the Soviets in the summer of 1945. And with the Soviets came typhoid. And the entire Mecklenburg and East Germany was gripped in this hideous, hideous typhoid epidemic. And because my mother had tuberculosis, we took special care, my father and I, in washing all the dishes, in boiling everything, and boiling the water. So our family escaped, except all around us, people were ill with typhoid. And so the school was closed. I started school actually in East Germany in first grade, and we have all the pictures of where I went to school. That school was closed. And so the school was turned into a typhoid sort of a hospital. And then there was a little pension up on a hill. And I watched as every afternoon several bodies were brought down, covered with white sheets on one of those flatbed trucks. And can you imagine? I mean, I was only 9 years old at the time. And then also a tremendous food shortage. So my father scrounged for food wherever he could possibly find it. And so finally he found barrels of herring roe, salted herring roe, and pig's intestines. And we traded our family silver for things like vegetables or milk or a few eggs, and one silver spoon at a time. Close to Boitzenburg, there was a big estate. And the estate manager was a friend of my father's. And one day he came to us and said, I'm ready to leave, because some Estonians who had been working on the farm had been deported. And he said, I bet you anything that I will be next. So he said, would you please, he knew that my father wrote and spoke fluent Russian. He said, would you write me a propusk, meaning a permit, that so many wagons, so many individuals, so much baggage are to be allowed over the border at Schwanheide, which was about, I would say, 25, 30 kilometers from Boitzenburg. Okay, so, and they made a stamp out of a potato. And he came with some papers that he had actually, where there was a signature of a polkovnik. So my father copied the stamp, the Soviet stamp, carved it out of a potato, and then also faked or forged the signature of the polkovnik. And we had no idea if they got over the border or not. But a few months later, a postcard arrives, written in jagged Gothic script, and saying, I'm going to call him Uncle Franz, because I don't remember his full name. And he said, Uncle Franz invites his nephew and his family to Braunschweig. That if you have an opportunity, you have a place to stay. As since the Soviets wanted to get rid of the overflow, they posted an announcement by the town hall and saying that if you have connections in the West, anybody at all, then please bring your documents and you may get an exit visa. And sure enough. And we had burned our foreign passports. And so they gave us German passports and also exit visas. We managed to get out. But my mother died unexpectedly in the summer of 1949. And as sad as it was, but her death actually opened the door for us then to emigrate. Otherwise, we would have stayed in Germany, and it would have been very, very, very difficult for us. My father worked primarily as the director of the food and clothing distribution center. But when it came to USA, he became a simple farm worker. And so it was a tremendous fall for somebody who had been in the upper middle class in Estonia. Then even in Germany, having very well-paying jobs that augmented even our food, because we were fed by the camp. But special little things we could buy because my father worked. And so he had always been used to be in a position of authority. And all of a sudden, he's a farm worker. Nobody called him Mr. Megler. No, he was Pete.